The lights are on, and we're ready. Oakland kicking off to Minnesota. Manfred Moore on the 2-yard line. To the 10, 15, 20. Not quite to the 25. Terry Robisky brought him down, and now Minnesota trying to move the ball when time ran out in the first half, and we'll see what they will come up with. Brent McClanahan is back in there. Robert Miller played a good portion of the second quarter, but McClanahan is back in there with Foreman. Sammy White goes left. Grimm goes right. Ahmad Rashad, who has a sore back, took a pretty good lick late in the second quarter. Foreman really upended by Willie Hall, who scored a touchdown. You remember earlier when he picked off the fumble. Willie really put the blocks to him. Willie played football at USC. He was originally drafted by New Orleans, a javelin thrower, and also a halfback and fullback thrower.
Look at all the Raiders, the way they tape up. I don't care what kind of day it is. They always look like they're cold. Maybe that's silver and black, but they always look like they're cold.
You don't mention the word cold when you're playing Minnesota. 2nd and 9 from the 24. Play action takes to Foreman. They dump it off to Foreman. And he gets just about to the 35-yard line. Monty Johnson bringing him down.
That's just about what he usually gains on pass plays. Just under 10 yards per pass is what he does. Look at that. I've never seen that play stopped in professional football, and I believe I'd go into a game until I did. I'd keep on running it, particularly when you got a guy like Chuck Foreman, the way he can move around with it. With a little delay out of the backfield, waiting for those linebackers to clear.
Dave Rowe and Monty Johnson trying to read young Tommy Kramer's game plan. 1st and 10 from the 34. White in a slot right inside Grimm. Right and drop. It was almost picked off by Jeff Barnes, number 56. Willie Brown was also there, but look at the padding on Jeff Barnes. How in the world could he ever catch a ball?
You got me. Look how he fires this. Tommy Kramer. He's got a shotgun when he wants to let it go. Not a perfect spiral, though. It's a very loose ball. Little hole in it. Not a tight spiral at all. Trying to drill it. A little bit over anxious.
All right, 2nd and 10 from the 34. Somehow he got away from Willie Hall and John Matusak, but he couldn't get away from Otis Sistrunk.
It's been the story pretty much all day for young Tommy Kramer. Offensive line of the Minnesota Vikings is just not giving him any time to throw the ball at all or set up. He's had to scramble and improvise just about all the time. That time, John Matusak and several others, just a host of them.
So there's Otis Sistrunk. His cousin Manny has to feel pretty good today. The Philadelphia Eagles knocked off the Giants. Of course, for Otis, he's had to play it the hard way to get here. 3 years semi-pro at Norfolk. 3rd and 17 from the 27. Foreman. But they spot him and stay with him. Matusak, the first man to make contact with Monty Johnson. So Monty stopped that play, and that means Neil Claybo will come in to punt. Neil Colsey will go deep to the Oakland 30-yard line, and Minnesota stymied in the first series of the second half. Claybo averaging 39, his longest kick of the year, 69. So Colsey will take it at his 27-yard line. And there's a flag on the play, dropped at the 30. Down fast under that punt for Minnesota, a rookie, number 45, Tommy Hannon, and let's wait for the call. It's a clip against Oakland, a 42-yard punt with no return. So it's against Oakland. So 1st and 10, the ball on the Oakland 16-yard line. Whipping
42.
So the penalty against Oakland, that'll slow them up a little bit. And Stabler will put it in play, 1st and 10 from the 17. Bolitnikoff is wide right and Branch left. The tight end Casper on the right side. Clarence Davis, deep belted by Fred McNeil.
They're getting a lot of play out of their number 1 draft choice. As I said earlier today, Ben, their number 1 draft choices, they just don't seem to miss on them. They just hit on every one of them. All those linebackers.
By the way, we'll be looking for Jeff Seaman, number 50, because Seaman was shaken up, and he is not in there. Scott Studwell is a middle linebacker, and he's a rookie going for Minnesota. Van Egan and Carl Eller made a very good play to bring him down.
He really did. He just overpowered Henry Lawrence that time. It was no contest.
Carl Eller has a couple of sacks today, picked up 2. You talk about durable. Carl Eller has missed only 1 game since the 1964 season, and that was the opener last year when he broke his thumb. He had played in 168, and after that he has played in every one. 3rd and 8 from the 19. Clarence Davis and Ellis, Studwell, and Page all ganged up on that one.
Studwell, a rookie and number 9 choice for him. He played at Illinois where he made 177 tackles at Illinois to break Dick Butkus's record there, tackles in his career.
So Kenny Stabler is stymied, just as Tommy Kramer was stopped. Playing a little hard-nosed now. Oakland 21, Minnesota 7. Manfred Moore back on his 40, and Ray Guy. A low average, but remember, 2 of them he was just trying to kick out of bounds inside the 20. 1 he kicked out on the 3. Now he can let out. Ball hitting on the 47, and Moore touched the ball. And we'll have to wait and see who finally got it. It'll be
the Vikings' ball.
The Vikings are hollering that they touched it. Manfred Moore having a shaky day.
It'll be their ball because no one had possession on that. The only time that you turn it over is that Oakland had got possession before they fumbled it out of bounds.
Everybody went down, including the officials. And Minnesota will put it in play, trailing 21-7.
The IBM Series 3, a copier duplicator that does it all. This button gives you copies on both sides. This button gives you reduced copies. This button collates. And to feed it, you don't even have to press a button. The IBM Series 3 copier duplicator, a copier duplicator that does it all.
America's best-selling new car in history, the new Ford Fairmont. What's behind Fairmont's success? Fairmont's mileage, highest EPA mileage rating of any mid-size car. Fairmont's roominess, more room for the money than any other car. Fairmont's price, lowest sticker price of any mid-size car. Test drive America's best-selling new car ever at your Ford dealer, where the better ideas keep coming.
So it'll be 1st and 10 for Minnesota on their own 30-yard line after Manfred Moore's muff of the punt by Ray Guy that traveled 52 yards. 21-7 Oakland. 10-14 to go in the 3rd quarter. Grimm is right, White left, and Voigt on the left side. Play action fake, a good save by Foreman, because coming was Barnes, and you watch Chuck Foreman on the play-action fake, made a good block on Jeff Barnes to keep him away from Kramer.
And with John Matusak all day long been putting pressure. He's been wearing Larry out, or Yeri out, rather. Take a look at him here, number 72. Look how he uses that height and throws his arm. Now, how tall do you have to be? With those arms up, you're talking about 9 or 10 feet. When you jump and he's got those arms up. He's 6'7" anyhow.
Yeah. 2nd and 10 from the 30. Grimm is to the left and White to the right. Kramer gets his tight end, Stu Voigt, and Jeff Barnes brings him down at the 35-yard line.
look in again on Ranieri and his battle with John Matusak. All afternoon has been a good one. Matusak, number 72. Yeri wants to control him with that left arm a little bit, doesn't he? Number 73.
So Kramer completing a pass, moves it out for a 3rd and 3 situation. The ball across the 35-yard line. And waiting at the other end, the awesome figure of John Matusak, 6'7", 270. Kramer picks it up again. There's a flag on the play. And hit by Willie Hall. Finally goes down at the 40-yard line.
Have you seen a more aggressive quarterback than that? He lowered his shoulder on Hall.
However, there's a flag way back, and I think there's going to be a clip against Minnesota. And it might have been the fellow who was clipped was Jeff Barnes.
On the replay, remember, shades of Joe Kapp, Minnesota Vikings. Kramer is just used to running now. He's not even counting on it. He just drops it, goes back to get it. The thing that impresses me, Ben, about this one is the way he sees Willie Hall coming. And look how he seems to run at him a la Jim Taylor. He delivers a blow to him. Now, how many quarterbacks do that since Joe Kapp?
And finally, Hendrick and then the same Willie Hall knocked him down.
Holding, number 33.
Brent McClanahan was guilty, and the party he was guilty of holding was Jeff Barnes. So it'll be 3rd and about 14 from the 26-yard line. 3-man front again. Now Pat Toomey comes back in to put a little heat on. White goes left and Grimm right. So Ahmad Rashad evidently banged up. There goes Chuck Foreman. Jack Tatum finally bulldogs him down shy of the 35-yard line. We're looking across the field to see if we can pick off Rashad, because he is so important to the Minnesota game plan. And ever since he took a good shot in the back late in the 2nd quarter, Bob Grimm has been playing, and Rashad has been out.
Rashad got a lick in the back last week. Someone caught him in the helmet. It was questionable a little earlier this week.
So Neil Clabo punting again, and deep is Neil Colsey at the 20. Blahack missed him. He's still on his feet and finally swallowed up. Matt Blair, among others, got him. So it'll be 1st and 10 as Oakland, leading 21-7, will put it in play.
Stop off at our Goodrich dealer, Stanley. We must have the radial tires rotated.
Have them what?
Rotated, sir. Put the front ones in the back and the back ones in the front.
Mentions that he is okay. The last we saw him, remember, that a high pass went off his fingertips. He took a shot and he hadn't been in there since. 1st and 10 for Oakland on their own 25. And a quick out is picked off and dropped by Bobby Bryant. Tried to take it away from Cliff Branch, almost did it.
You don't hear a whole lot about Bobby Bryant, but he has been a steady performer for the Minnesota Vikings throughout, about 9 years. Number 7 draft choice from the University of South Carolina. He has been outstanding. 39 career interceptions and almost 40 right there.
Yeah, last year he was slowed up, he said, with a broken arm in camp, though he surrendered his job for a while, but he's back in business
Doesn't
again.
weigh but about 180 pounds.
2nd and 10 from the 25. Branch in a slot right. There goes Mark Van Egan, pulled down. And it was Studwell, Scott Studwell, a rookie out of Illinois, who is playing for Jeff Seaman. There's double fives. He's put together 6'2", 225. And as Alex mentioned a moment ago, he broke Dick Butkus' record in his senior year for tackles. It's a pretty heavy credential to bring into this league.
I'll say it is. I don't believe I ever saw any better than Butkus.
3rd and 8 from the 28. Off the hands of Biletnikoff, and Jeff Wright was right with him. On the sideline, there is Jeff Seaman.
Well, that's something they ought to run back, because you don't see Biletnikoff miss that many passes in an entire year.
That's a nice scene, too, of Seaman congratulating Studwell.
Look at that blocking up there. Breaking down the pocket pretty nicely, though. Stabler just waits. He just waits for those receivers. They're so well schooled that they just keep moving into various zones. They're a strong passing team.
So Ray Guy, who's been pretty busy, and so is Manfred Moore. Remember, Moore muffed the last punt when he slipped and fell down. 7:44 to go in the third quarter, and it is 21-7 Oakland. Picking up 21 points before the chairs were warm here in the Coliseum. Moore juggling it inside his 25. See you later. Manfred Moore is having a very rough day back there.
I'll say he is. He muffed 2 kickoff returns and as well as that punt return.
48-yard punt. No hungry eyes of Willie Hall. He already picked up a score today, picking up a fumble, and he brought it in. He's been rather prominent in some very hard tackles as well.
Certainly has, there.
1st and 10 from the Viking 26. Picked out by Jack Tatum. To the 30, to the 25, to the 20, and Tatum brings Oakland into great scoring position again.
What is that, Tatum's second interception of the day?
It was, and there wasn't anybody near him.
And the 5th of the season. Tommy Kramer just unloaded. No pressure to speak of that time. The pocket held. He just threw it too early.
His man is cutting away from the pass.
Yes, if you see, if he'd have thrown it at that time, he'd have curled in behind that linebacker. But then again, he is a rookie. Tatum has been outstanding. What a tough ball player he is. No cheap shot artist about him, brother. He's a tough football player.
So here comes Oakland now, leading 21-7. 1st and 10 on the Viking 18. Mark Van Egan gets down to about the 15-yard line. Big Mark Mullaney, double sevens there to pick him off. We talked before about the Minnesota defensive line, saying that they have 4 first-round defensive linemen. Carl Eller, first round in 1964. Alan Page, first round in 67. Mark Mullaney, first round in 76. And James White. 2nd and 7 from the 15. Plants runs away from 2, and Jeff Wright, along with Bobby Bryant, bring him down for a loss on the play.
You don't hear a lot about Jeff Wright either, but he could be an outstanding football player. He is an outstanding football player, but 5 knee operations has hampered him some. Can you imagine him still playing football? I believe I'd quit after the 3rd or 2nd or 3rd anyhow.
I guess the last knee surgery was 1975 for Jeff Wright, who went to school at Minnesota. 3rd and 12 for the Oakland Raiders on the 20-yard line. 6:12 to go in the third quarter. Stabler intended for Dave Casper. Paul Krause almost had a shot at it.
Jenny Stabler, you just can't tell. You know, Casper has had such an outstanding season. It's the first time I believe he's gone to Casper all day. I'm a little bit surprised with that. Look at it from ground level. Look how his eyes shifted off of his back coming out of the backfield onto Casper. Threw him into trouble that time, though.
Oakland feels the league has really taken unfair advantage of Casper. But right now we'll see Errol Mann out of a hole by David Hump. The ball spotted at the 32-yard line. Excuse me, the 27-yard line. It'll be a 37-yard field goal. And gets it up. It is no good. Mann has missed now his last 4 field goals, 3 of them, and now the last 4 straight. So he's in a slump. He's 17 for 24.
I believe that's the first one he's missed inside the 30 all year. It'd be a bad time to go cold, wouldn't it?
Yeah, inside the 30 he was 6 for 6. Well, as Errol Mann chewing at himself, we'd like to remind you there are 2 candidates for Town's Businessman of the Year award. One is Maud, the other Walter. Things should be interesting when Maud comes your way tomorrow at her new time, 9, 8 Central and Mounted. 1st and 10 from the 20. Foreman with Goodrum blocking out in front. But Goodrum could only handle 1 man, and Willie Hall was able to handle Foreman.
Take a look at Willie Hall, who's had an outstanding afternoon. I don't know how many tackles he's been in. A little misdirection step by Foreman there. Watch Hall come into the picture. Hello.
Goodrum did his job. He took out Jeff Barnes, but there wasn't anybody to handle Hall.
Couldn't have been. That's a picture tackle right there. Wrapping his arms around. That up, boy. Willie.
6'2", 225, 28 years old. He can play. 2nd and 7 from the 22. Sammy White in motion. Fake by Kramer to White. And he throws it to the suburbs, and there's a flag on the play.
He tried to get that defensive back to commit himself like that with a pump and then take off. He had him beat, but the safety came over. There was nowhere to go. And then White, for some reason or another, Sammy White quit running on the play, gave up on it.
Oakland 21, Minnesota 7, 5:14 remaining in the third quarter.
Boy, you look at these two teams, though, and how different they are in styles and contrast, but both of them winning teams, just dominating their respective divisions.
No penalty. Number 62 was blocking behind the line of scrimmage, which is legal.
Okay.
I would think it
we'll
was.
accept that.
On or behind the line of scrimmage, I think is acceptable.
And Ed White says, of course I follow the rules to the letter.
You've got it.
Ed White went to school up here. He went to the University of California.
Got a lot of boys, about 8 boys from the Minnesota team from the West Coast, aren't they?
That's right. Went to school in Cal.
Ed Hendricks started out with the Baltimore Colts onto the Green Bay Packers and finally settled in right here. And what a guy he is.
Well, it'll be 3rd and 7. Kramer's got Sammy White. And Neil Colsey has White. And that will be enough for a first down.
As we mentioned, Colsey, it was questionable whether he was going to play or not today. He was banged up last week. They drafted him originally as a punt returner. He's played every position in that defensive backfield for the Raiders. Kramer, I like the way he stands there. I like the way he stands there. Dave Rowe getting his arms up. He found the passing lane there and hit Sammy White.
So after the missed field goal, the Vikings took over on the 20. They've moved it to the 37, and they have it 1st and 10. White goes right. Bob Grimm playing for Ahmad Rashad, wide left. Kramer trying to run around Matusak and Rowe. That's like trying to run around the Empire State Building.
Takes a little longer, but heavier they are, huh? Oh.
Of Minnesota. Slot right, White inside Grimm. Robert Miller is now in the backfield, and it's a draw to Foreman. He got across the 40. Big Dave Rowe. As big as Rowe and Matusak are at 6'7", Oakland had an even bigger man. Tell you earlier in the game, 6'9 and a half, I believe he was.
They said they played the 3 of them on the same side of the line or in and about the same side of the line against Pittsburgh. Kept them totally confused. It was like volleyball. All they did was stand at the line of scrimmage and jump. Kept Terry Bradshaw totally confused.
So 3rd down, 3rd and 6 from the 41. Off the hands of Bob Grimm. Willie Brown was defending.
Good, reliable player ordinarily is Bob Grimm. That was an easily catchable ball.
So the Oakland defense able to stop Kramer again. And Neil Kloibo will be punting. He's been busy, and Neil Colsey again goes back on the 20-yard line of Oakland. Good average for Kloibo, a little better than 40 yards a kick. And Kloibo gets a bomb off. Colsey retreating. And he'll get across the 20-yard line. Sammy Johnson, a fullback on the offense, able to make the tackle and bring him down. 3:29 to go in the third quarter. Oakland 21, Minnesota 7. Oakland leading 21-7. And a game that was marred by 5 quick turnovers has apparently settled down now. Meanwhile, at the Coliseum South, the Memorial Coliseum in Los Angeles, the Rams leading Atlanta 9-0 in the third quarter. Capoletti busted one for a touchdown. Septien kicked the field goal, and nothing has changed since. Nothing has changed with John Madden.
No, it still looks like an unmade bed.
You said that. 1st and 10 from the 22. Mark Van Eegen. Mark Mullaney, number 77, one of those first-round draft choice defensive linemen out of Colorado State. There he is, big boy, 6'6", 242. And Mullaney, who plays back of both Eller and Marshall, is just waiting now because Jim Marshall has announced his retirement, so I'm sure Mullaney will be a regular next year. San Diego out in front of Denver by a couple. To Biletnikoff, and Nate Allen brings him down right about at the first down marker. Let's see.
A typical Oakland play that time. Kenny Stabler letting Biletnikoff get plenty of depth on the thing and then making his cut very distinct and coming back toward the quarterback. Watch it this time. Oakland does this a little better than most teams do. The precision routes that they run and the time Kenny Stabler has, look at in the direction he's going. Back toward the quarterback before Nate Allen can wrap his arm around him.
1st and 10 on the Oakland 33-yard line. Stabler to Van Eegen. And he hit and moved across the 35. Surprising because both Alan Page and Matt Blair hit him, and they're pretty good roadblocks, and yet Van Eegen was able to pick up a couple.
Van Eegen, a very compact-built boy and a very compact runner. He's going to be good for a lot of years with this Oakland team. And watch how the backs, let's see if they block for one another. Didn't have to that time. He's just a steady performer.
2nd down, 6 on a pitchback, and Clarence Davis. Again, at the bottom of the pile, Scott Studwell. So Kenny Stabler, fairly conservative, trying to move his club. Remember, in case you missed it, New England beat Miami. So if Oakland wins today, they are the wild card team. So it's a big one for the Raiders. 3rd down play for Stabler now. Davis runs into a pack. And again, you see number 55, Scott Studwell, the kid out of Illinois.
He's doing good, isn't he?
He sure is.
They're pleased with him, too, aren't they? That a boy, you're doing good.
6'2", 224, and he's 23 years old. Did you say he was doing good?
Yeah.
He's also doing well.
Yes, he is. Look at Scott Studwell, number 55. Nobody blocking him, and he's reading it pretty good for a rookie. The veteran team, this Minnesota team, they bring the rookies along themselves, the team leadership. Eller and Marshall and people like that. Kind of police over all of them.
Joe Blahack and Manfred Moore in a twin safety. And Ray Guy going to pick it upstairs. Oh, my. And Moore maybe gained a yard.
I'll tell you
Terry
what.
Robisky almost knocked him into the grandstand.
If it isn't raining now, there's no reason for it. This guy brought rain with that one. He can do anything with a football. He can line them out. That one, he must, I don't know what the hang time was on that, but it was tremendous.
About an hour and a half.
About a day.
42-yard punt. His average hang time is a little more than 4 seconds. However, there was a flag on the play to cancel the whole thing out. Manfred Moore, you remember, after that long talk with Bud Grant, you would think he was going to call a fair catch, but he took it anyway. It's been a tough day for Manfred, but he's not going to back off from anybody. And let's see the penalty.
It's fun to watch Ray Guy kick. I'm looking forward to the next one.
Ineligible downfield on the punt, number 29. 4th down.
So a little over anxious. And they get down underneath that. You begin. So Guy will just back off 5 yards and try it again. Manfred Moore is alone now. Blahack comes off. So Moore all by himself. Ball almost hit Morris Bradshaw, And Bradshaw will down it right there. So no return, no handling at all. A 38-yard punt by Ray Guy. Manfred Moore never had a chance on that one.
When he hits it bad, he still gets 38, 40 yards out of it.
You know, at one time, he kicked one 90-some-odd yards. 93 yards, in fact, in college. You can imagine kicking a football that far.
Never seen anything like it.
93 in college. Ray Guy.
A heck of an athlete. Played basketball and baseball in college, too.
First and 10 Vikings on their own 29-yard line. 21-7 Oakland. To Sammy Johnson. And Johnson trying to get out of the way of Willie Brown. Spins out of bounds. Stopping the clock. 17 seconds left to go in the third quarter.
About as safe a pass as you can have in professional football. You see Tommy Kramer running out there in the direction of the receiver and running in that direction. Absolutely no imagination, but absolutely no risk of interception on something like that.
Sammy Johnson, by the way, played for San Francisco. He came to the Vikes in the Jim Lash trade, so they know him up here in the Bay. 17 seconds to go in the quarter, 2nd and 3 from the 36. Bootleg, but they're there, and a flag on the play, and a fumble finally picked up by big Mike McCoy out of Notre Dame, but a flag and a whistle. McCoy, 6'5", 275, a growing boy.
He just puts it on his hip, a la Eddie LeBaron. Goes around to the outside with the full intent of running. Ranieri out and block it in front of him. Let's see if we can see where the ball came loose. There it is. Mike McCoy, open field runner. #1 draft choice for the Packers. Never quite panned out to be what they thought he was going to be over there. Oakland trying to rejuvenate another one of these boys that the other teams had given up for and picked him up. Made a trade for him.
Well, it sounds like a dirge, the numbers for Minnesota. Would you believe 7 fumbles? And they've lost them all. So McCoy, the latest Oakland hero, 1st and 10 from the 32. To Cliff Branch. Touchdown. He beat Jeff Wright. 2nd touchdown for Cliff Branch. And Kenny Staba just arced that ball a magnificent pass.
That's the way the guy does. When he wants to kill you, he can do it in a hurry. He's got the receivers to do it. He's got an offensive line that afford him the protection to do it. If you don't get a rush on this guy, you are dead. Look at the concentration and the leaping ability. That Cliff Branch is something. They developed him, though. The first 2 years, didn't catch hardly anything. From then on, brother, these last 3 years, what? 60, 51, and 46 balls.
Well, he's caught 2 touchdowns today for half a dozen this year, beating Jeff Wright, and Krause just couldn't come over in time to help out. Darrell Mann now trying to make it 28-7, and hold on. Two seconds left to go in the third quarter. Offside. So the penalty on the ensuing kickoff against Minnesota. 27-7 Oakland. They led 21-0 in the first quarter. And Minnesota unable to hold on to the football.
Turnovers, as Bud Grant said, will kill you. And they were minus 16 going into today's game and certainly minus more now.
23 skidoo about now. And it is 28-7 in favor of Oakland. So Minnesota looked like they were going to get back in the ball game when Kramer had that drive in the second quarter, but there was an interception. And once again, Bud Grant talking quickly first to Manfred Moore, and that's Bob. So the folks in Oakland feeling very chipper about things, especially John Madden. You know, it's the first time since 1971 and the second time since 1966 the Raiders have not been at least divisional champs. And, of course, they're going in as the wild card. Manfred Moore to the 20-yard line. 25, 30, 35. Boy, carrying that ball, as they say, like with a loaf of bread. That's his first return as the third quarter is history. So that's the end of the third quarter of the Coliseum. Oakland 28, Minnesota 7. And we now pause for a word from your local station. Martin, although he doesn't look it, has to feel a lot happier about things now as we start the fourth quarter. 1st and 10 from the Minnesota 38. To Stu Voigt, the tight end, and he goes down just shy of midfield, hit by Skip Thomas and also Monty Johnson.
Stu not having an outstanding year. That's his 18th catch on the season. One of the reasons, though, of course, is when they picked up Bob Tucker, they put him in most as a tight end in most of the passing situations. However, when the Minnesota team historically gets in trouble, they don't hesitate a moment to go into Stu.
They'll spot it at the 49, 1st and 10. White in a slot left, inside Bob Grimm. No good. Lester Hayes was right there, and then Jack Tatum came over to help out.
Oh, Lester. He's learning, isn't he? Get deeper in the deepest. Take a look at it again. Shades of last week, except this one went incomplete. Tommy Kramer cranks it up, got a good strong arm. Lester got victimized last week. He got the coverage down pretty well. Just barely overthrown that time. Similar situation as last week, wasn't it, Ben?
Yes,
the fourth
indeed.
quarter. They were trailing the 49ers 24-0 when Tommy Kramer came on, and did he come on? 3 touchdown passes.
Well, he tried to get one in a hurry, 1st and 10, so now it's 2nd and 10 from the 49. White inside Grimm to the right. Tucker, the tight end, on the left side. Robert Miller had stayed back, and Kramer wanted to dump off to him, but there was tremendous pressure from Willie Hall. And he finally just threw it away. Miller was the closest man.
And I did like the way he threw it away, too. Didn't risk getting it intercepted at all. Made no bones about it. Threw it in the vicinity of a receiver, but out of bounds. And we look on to Willie Hall. Willie's a better football player than I'd imagined to be. He's done well today.
There are the conversions. Neither club setting the world on fire in that department. 3rd and 10 from the 49. Sammy Johnson and Robert Miller are the backs. Pat Toomey was the one who put the slug on him out of Vanderbilt. He's only 6'6", 245.
That's why they traded for him, to get the big pass rush. They saw him play against John Kolb of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they figured if such a situation came up in the playoffs and we needed a guy to beat Pittsburgh, this might be the answer. Al Davis picked him up or made a trade for him, and he has responded well. Look at that. Atta boy, Pat.
Boy, they really put the pressure with Toomey coming one way and Matusak the other. Kramer did well just to hold on to the ball. Neil Colsey at the 21. Fumble. And Minnesota evidently recovered. Yes, they did. Let's take another look at Neil Colsey now as he tried to bring that punt upfield.
Getting it kind of loose there.
Sammy Johnson hit him first. And down under there, Matt Blair was the one who recovered the fumble for Minnesota. And there's Matt coming out. He has a habit of doing that. He's right there when the ball is loose. Recovering a Neil Colsey fumble. 1st and 10 on the Raider 42. Miller and Johnson, the running back. Kramer had a struggle, picked off by Skip Thomas, and he steps out of bounds. The pass was intended for Bob Tucker.
Skip Thomas, Johnny on the spot as Kramer goes to the well once too often. Had that sideline and go. He's tried it twice today, but you got to be able to take care of the free safety before you can do that. He didn't do it that time. He looked that way all the way.
Well, that's the 3rd interception. And Kramer now listening to Bud Grant.
That's what he's in there for, to make his mistakes this week rather than next week.
So Oakland, after fumbling, gets the ball right back on the Skip Thomas interception. And Mark Van Egan wrapped up shy of the 30-yard line. And the same fellas we've been talking about most of the day making the tackles. That would be Fred McNeil, along with Studwell, who's in there for Seaman.
They're gaming on that side a little bit. Alan Page took an inside rush that time, trying to cut off that center's block and let Studwell roam and make the tackle like So many of the teams play their middle linebackers that way. Got a bright future, I would say.
Jeff Seaman started the ball game at middle linebacker, and now Studwell getting a little extra experience. 2nd and 8 from the 29. Van Egan. And boy, they were going after the ball. Fred McNeil down there at the bottom trying to wrestle the ball away from Mark Van Egan.
And this is your life, Alan Page. When you take that inside rush, if that left guard comes down on you, that's about what can happen. Collapse you clear on down the line.
George Beeler, who put the slug on him, is another one of those giants up front. Page had to fend off Beeler, who weighs 270. Clarence Davis. Looks like he might have made the first down on that.
He caught Page in a stunt that time, stunning outside, and Eller closes inside. That's the way it's supposed to do. One leaves the area, and the other one comes into the area. Fights off his block, does an excellent job. Been a heck of a football player for a long, long time.
Eller that time able to take the block of Beeler. Hit him right on the numbers. Carr was able to hold his ground and make the tackle. 1st and 10, Oakland on their own 38-yard line. Clarence Davis. Good block by Van Egan. Oh, they told us before the game that you should watch how these backs block for each other. And Bud Grant has to like that.
And they sure do. Watch these backs now. Van Egan blocking this time for Clarence Davis. The guy hooks that linebacker to the inside there. Couldn't have been done any prettier. Davis knew exactly to bounce that side. The receiver had attempted block downfield on Bobby Bryant, but didn't get much done.
So Van Egan able to take McNeil out of the play. Alan Page fighting on a bullet down there, trying to hold his ground. 1st and 10 from the 49. Van Egan. Mark Van Egan out of Colgate. And, of course, at Colgate he made his presence felt because he was the first and only Colgate back to rush for 1,000 yards. When he came into the big leagues, he has been a workhorse. Mark Mullaney, number 77, just 1 year away from being a starter for the Vikes. He was a first-round draft choice in 75. Here comes Van Egan. He has Beeler out in front.
He knew where the first down marker was, didn't he?
He sure did. They had both Upshur and Beeler. The guards were leading the way. Watch it.
Watch how he bounces outside. That's Mark Van Egan. Follows his block and waits for it. He could have cut it up that time, but he decided he saw some daylight on the outside. Now watch how he goes for those yard markers there. Lowers his shoulder and makes sure he gets it. You see it drop there? And Ben, you got a report on that Los Angeles game?
Yeah, they have suddenly broken it open. It had been 9-0 since the first quarter. Hayden on a 13-yard run scored to make it 16-0, and Rod Phillips has just pushed one over from 2 yards out, and the Rams leading 23-0 in the fourth quarter.
So it looks like the Rams have put 2 games back-to-back for the first time this season, I guess.
Just a couple of inches for a first down, evidently. By the way, Van Egan now has rushed for 91 yards. He is the standout ball carrier. He has carried 25 times. And they're a very tired Minnesota Viking defense. Double eights. Alan Page, who's been scrambling in the NFL for 11 years. So just inches. 3rd down. And we'll see what the snake comes up with. Banaszak. And he picked up the first down.
Banaszak comes in the ball game, you know he's going to carry the ball, and he does it year after year, and he comes up with a big play. Short yardage situation, I don't know of anybody that can find the holes any better to beat Banaszak.
Banaszak has rushed for 5 touchdowns this year. He scored 2 in the Super Bowl against Minnesota. In fact, he has 42 touchdowns in his career. It's an Oakland record. So Pete Banaszak knows exactly where to go with it.
Yes, sir. Following the blocks of Dave Casper, who is an outstanding blocker, as well as a pretty nifty receiver himself.
1st and 10 from the 38. Here comes Banaszak inside Davis's block. And a good play by Matt Blair to submarine and get him at the ankles. Blair, who recovered that fumble earlier, we mentioned how he's around the ball all the time. So far this year, Matt Blair has blocked 4 kicks, 2 field goal attempts, a point after and a punt, and he's recovered 2 fumbles. He has a remarkable knack for that.
You have a remarkable knack for keeping up with all that, too.
Yeah, you got to write it down. Write it down. 2nd and 7 from the 35. Branch in a slot right inside Biletnikoff, and it's Banaszak. He just followed Clarence Davis as if Davis said, right this way.
Yes, sir. Follow the block of Clarence Davis. Let's watch it. Davis will block for anybody. Number 28. Watch how they follow it. You get the feeling that Minnesota is just being worn down by that offensive line of the Oakland Raiders.
Well, Bud Grant implacable. Clarence Davis trying to get a breather. Carl Garrett, number 31, comes into the backfield for Oakland. Biletnikoff wide right and Branch left. So it's Banaszak and Garrett back of Stabler. 1st and 10 from the 26. And that time Banaszak is wrapped up immediately. And the guy at the bottom, Fred McNeil. John Madden giving his great running back Mark Van Egan a breather, along with Clarence Davis.
We like the kid with Madden for his general appearance, but I'll tell you what, you judge a coach by one thing, and that's his one-loss record. That's the winningest coach in football. Winner of about 79% of his games, 78% of his games. That speaks enough for him.
Another note on Madden, he was born in Minnesota. 2nd and 12. Banaszak hit by Studwell, and so Scott Studwell getting a lot of experience, and Jeff Seaman spotting there was a flag on the play. Offsides, Minnesota.
Offsides, number 81, defense.
So Carl Eller trying to get a jump. 7 minutes and 33 seconds left to go in this one. Oakland 7 minutes away from the wild card. And for Minnesota, trying to heal and get ready for a most important game next week for them with Detroit.
They don't look like a team that's going to panic, do they?
No.
Getting ready for the Lions next week.
There goes Van Egan. Got to the 20-yard line. Van Egan, now a workhorse, has carried the ball 26 times. What we say, Walter Payton carried the ball today for about 36, I think.
34, 36, yeah.
Payton has rushed for over 1,800 yards now with 1 game left, and that'll be next week. We'll see him go against the New York Giants.
I can't wait to see him. I really like to watch that boy play. He is something else.
So a 3rd and 3 for Stabler from the 19. And it's Van Egan. And he just runs over people, and he's finally brought down by Tom Hannon.
Big blocks there by Henry Lawrence, and let's take a look at it. Lead block in there. Who was that? 46. Bankston.
And Van Egan now 27 carries for 104 yards.
Payton had 32 carries this afternoon. Walter Payton did.
So 1st and 10. The ball on the 11-yard line, and Oakland thoroughly control of everything right now. Van Egan inside the 5. So Mark Van Egan.
Let's watch Dave Dalby, number
carries.
50. Oh, he just rides Alan Page completely out of the play. Dave Dalby, number 50. Only the 2nd center in the history of the Oakland Raiders. Jim Otto played there so long. Dalby's got a great future himself.
So Tom Hannon goes out of the ball game. It is 2nd and 2. Garrett just about to the line of scrimmage. 5 minutes and 28 seconds left to go in the ball game. John Madden and the Oakland Raiders are going to win the wild card. And Bud Grant and the Minnesota Vikings must wait another week. Mark Van Egan getting an ovation as he comes jogging off the field. 28 carries for 112 yards and 1 touchdown. 4-year man out of Colgate. 3rd and 1. In motion, Bankston. All alone is Carl Garrett to make it, and then Matt Blair on top of him. And it's a rout, boys. It is 34-7.
All he wants to do is win. He has a way, though, when he decides to throw the football, which is what he does best, of course. He can put the hurts on you. Carl Garrett all by himself out there before Matt Blair. A little bit too late. He's in the end zone already.
Well, in the Super Bowl, to refresh your memory, Oakland beat Minnesota 32-14. They're now leading 34-7. Errol Mann trying to make it 35. And he does just that. So we have 4 minutes and 51 seconds left to go in the ball game, and it is all Oakland in capital letters.
This drop is too little to cover the head of...
Probably unprintable in the state of Minnesota. It is 35-7 Oakland, 4:51 left. And Manfred Moore sees the ball bobbled and then picked up by Mark Keller. And Keller gets to the 25, and that's it. So Keller seeing a little bit of service handling that. And here come the Vikes to put it in play. 1st and 10 on their own 26-yard line. Again, another report from the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. Atlanta gets on the scoreboard. However, the Rams leading handily 23-7 in the 4th quarter. 1st and 10 from the 26. Here comes Sammy Johnson. And he gets out across the 30-yard line. So Minnesota will have the distinction of being chewed up in 2 coliseums this year.
They say they just went out of here alive. Back home to that freezing weather where they're going to practice in, the Armory again.
Oh, they'll be indoors, I guess. When they left home yesterday, they told us it was 9 below.
Ain't nothing much to look forward to going home to, is it?
2nd down, 5 from the 31. Robert Miller buying a very tough yard at best. Meanwhile, Jim Turner has just kicked a 36-yard field goal, and Denver has turned it around to lead San Diego 10-9. Just a couple of minutes ago, San Diego had an edge, 9-7. 3rd and 5 from the 31. Wide left, Grim right. Off the hands of Sammy Johnson. So for Bud Grant, very early, we have not seen Ahmad Rashad, we have not seen Jeff Seaman, and now suddenly we are not going to see Foreman or McClanahan. We're seeing Miller and Johnson and young Tommy Kramer. And the Vikes unable to do anything with 3:32 left, and they'll be punting to Neil Colsey.
Well, the poise of the Vikings, they're not going to go crazy over a loss like this and let it ruin their entire season. All their season is next week, getting the playoffs. They're saving everybody for that ring, keep them healthy as they can. Bud Grant's no fool by any means. Funny-looking kick.
Sure was. Colsey backing up. There's no reason to run it as it rolls inside the 20-yard line. And it's down on about the 15. So with 3:21 left to go in the ball game, 35-7 Oakland.
When you're thirsting for a beer or two.
Thinking of that line, we have met the enemy, and they are us.
You got it.
That would be Minnesota today. Mike Ray with Garrett and Robisky in the backfield for Oakland. And it's Terry Robisky out to the 17-yard line. Mike Ray out of USC. He's had 2 years there. He spent 3 years with Toronto in the Canadian Football League. His biggest moment, he beat Ohio State in the Rose Bowl. A very good field goal kicker. Also point after. Ray, R-A-E, 6 feet, 190, 26. Ray is playing and the snake is resting with a job well done. Second and 8. And there goes Carl Garrett. Studwell almost stripped the jersey off him. So Scott Studwell, along with the rookie Tom Hannon, in on the tackle. Well, the Vikings getting some young men a little more experience, and Garrett will have to leave because of the torn jersey. Kenny Stabler, number 12 on the helmet, talking to Mark Van Eegen and also to Pete Banasak. And coming over is Carl Garrett. And there, the Minnesota defensive team with young man Scott Studwell in the middle playing for Jeff Seaman. Alan Page, Carl Eller, Jim Marshall. Been a long day for them. So it's a 2-minute warning. Oakland 35, Minnesota 7.
This Christmas,
Mike Ray in charge of the responsibility of calling the plays for Oakland. He has Robisky and Hubie Ginn in there now. And Morris Bradshaw in a slot left inside Biletnikoff. Here goes Robisky. And down he goes, but first he fumbled. And White looked like he handed the ball off. I think they will call somewhat like a forward handoff against James White.
Looked like rugby there. Watch the scrum developing here.
First, Terry Robisky out of LSU.
Yes, he is. Good old Cajun name, too.
There goes the ball. There's White. Now watch him hand it forward.
The scrum is on. Here we go.
Here, somebody take this thing. Mullaney, you take it. And then, just for good measure, it looked like Mullaney fumbled. That's it. That handoff from White to Mullaney, the illegal forward pass. It was an illegal juggling act is what it was.
Well, maybe something good can come out of this. You know, often in defeat, you learn more than when you win. Learn more when you're doing something that how to correct it when you're doing something wrong than when you're doing it right. I don't know what all that means.
It means what? Throw deep?
Throw deep.
First and 10 from the 19. And Kramer back in there. To Robert Miller. And he goes out of bounds inside the 15 to about the 14-yard line. Ball game produced by Robert Stenner. Directed by Tony Verna. Our thanks to our statistician, Dr. Bob Woods, and along with all of the other people who have helped to get us on, keep us on, and hopefully get us on.
Soon.
To the 13-yard line of Oakland. Second and about 4. Matusak and Barnes chasing him out of bounds. So Kramer outrunning him for safety. Tommy Kramer, 22 years old, out of Rice.
Now look at Kramer right now. Everybody's covered on the thing, and he is not running to try to advance a football. He is trying to get out of bounds before he gets killed.
Exactly. That's
simple and plain as that.
Yes, thank you. With John Matusak at 6'7" and 270, the adrenaline was sure pumping.
I don't know where I'm going, but I'm getting out of here.
I'm making good time. So it's third down and 2 from the 11. There's big John Matusak.
You know, he once played for 2 teams the same week when he was down in Houston.
Off the hands of Craig. And then Craig tackled Skip Thomas to make sure he couldn't catch it. Thomas said, well, now isn't that enough?
Take a look at it again. Tommy Kramer got a nice delivery right over the top. The ball should have easily been caught, but was not. Too late to nitpick now, isn't it?
And how? 1 minute, 35 seconds left to go in a ball game that saw Oakland just keep recovering fumbles and pile up a 21-0 lead. Minnesota came back 21-7, had a pretty good drive going on, but then gave the ball up on a Minnesota interception by Oakland, and really the Vikings have not been heard from since. All right. Heard from that time. Touchdown to Sammy White. Sammy White, 8th touchdown pass of the year.
Sammy has had an outstanding season as he did last year. He's caught a pass, at least one pass in every game this year. There you see Tommy Kramer with a play-action fake there, drilling it in, and something good's come out of it. Maybe it built his confidence a little bit for next week.
So it is 35-13 in favor of Oakland. Fred Cox, who is second in NFL history in points, Blando with 2002. And he missed it. Is that ever a summation of a frustrating afternoon?
He has not been hitting it well this year.
You want to start something?
Darling.
And then both teams line up to receive. You've got problems.
In the first quarter, it just kept on getting worse. It was Murphy's Law and Schultz's Law all put together, wasn't it?
Carl Garrett, and you begin standing back waiting for Fred Cox. And here comes the onside kick formation. Smothered and recovered by Oakland. That was the onside formation, student body left, that worked once against San Francisco. Watch everybody load up.
The chorus line going left. Oakland was prepared to it as you see him slide there. They're a well-coached team. The fact is, you have to give both teams credit for their organization. Minnesota has won every division except 72 since 1968. On the other hand, the Oakland Raiders are the winningest team in football, and there's a very good reason why. And that's one of them, too. Over the system. Al Davis, the guiding hand in what he's done. Whoa.
1st and 10 from the 46. And Robisky finally brought down by Mark Mullaney. And at the bottom is Tommy Hannon, with 1 minute and 20 seconds left to go. You know, there are 2 McClanahans in the ball game, and that onside kick was recovered by a McClanahan, Randy McClanahan, a rookie for Oakland. And there he is. Went to school in Southwest Louisiana. You know a lot about Brent. The first look at Randy. 59 seconds mercifully left in this one. 35-13 Oakland. 2nd and 7 from the 43. Mike Ray at the wheel. And it's Robisky following Ginn's block. And Wally Hilgenberg tries to make a pretzel out of it. Hilgenberg in his 15th year. It's a tough time to be playing, especially if you're on defense with a losing team.
Neither team wants to be on the field right now. They want to be in the locker room. Why get hurt in something like this? The game is already settled. Both of them got to look forward to next week. And hopefully the playoffs.
And, of course, again, to repeat, Oakland, they are going to the playoffs as the wild card team. Their victory, coupled with New England's victory over Miami, and Madden and company, they're in business.
What did Vince Lombardi say about that? Some of us will do our jobs well, and some of us will not, but we will all be judged by one thing, the results. And John Madden's results are, well, the winningest coach in football. How about that San Diego? Update us on that, Ben.
Well, the latest thing, Denver, you know, at one time was behind. However, they are back to their old histrionics and dramatics, and this time Rick Upchurch just went 19 yards to put Denver out in front comfortably by 8 now, 17-9, and there's only 1 minute and 54 seconds left in that one. There's 37 left in ours, and Terry Robisky with Sylvester leading the way. Picks up a couple. Steve Sylvester, number 66. He's a third-year man out of Notre Dame, and he's another big lineman. We're seeing a lot of people get some experience. Bud Grant has taken off his headset. He doesn't want to listen or talk to anybody.
All in the dogs, the hunt is over, as someone once said.
Stand around in the stands, go running through the hourglass. This one is history. And the Oakland Raiders continue their supremacy and mastery over the Minnesota Vikings as they take them apart 35-13. A great part of the Oakland victory because of Minnesota's fumbleitis.
You got it.
So this has been Scully for Alex Hawkins, and there's the final, 35-13 Oakland over Minnesota.
George, he was more of a blocker than anything else.
Well, at Auburn, as you said, Frank, he was a blocking back, but when he got here, they learned, A, that he had great hands and could catch the ball, and B, that he could run surprisingly well. And while he got the 160 yards plus in the opening game, as first down is registered for Atlanta, in the second game against Philadelphia, again got more than 100 yards, and he looked like another Otis Anderson. He has fallen back, as Fran said, but they expect him to bust out of it tonight.
One thing to look for here, Frank, Atlanta will throw to their backs a lot. Seattle does not defense the pass to the backs very well. The linebackers weak pass coverage-wise.
Two tight ends, single setback. McKeska, 87, the other tight end, along with Mitchell, 86. Mayberry, the rookie from Colorado, single setback. Gets the call, finds a little opening, but he's smashed to the ground. Hit there by the middle linebacker, Terry Beeson, number 58.
One of the reasons why they expect Andrews to have a big night tonight is based upon the graphic you saw a moment ago. Seattle 22nd in defense.
Interesting thing, Howard and Frank, Atlanta has played 3 running backs so far tonight. Kane, Mayberry, and Andrews. All of those fellas are rookies, but they all 3 can play well.
Mayberry, the rookie from Colorado, gets 3 yards, second down, 7. Bartkowski again to the air. Fires. Complete. Out for Jenkins. Close to a first down. Jenkins now with his having caught successfully at least one pass in 50.
The previous best time was 157 yards.